Something's missing. I think I know what it is. Nope. It is, in fact, the traveler, no longer just sitting here within the great city. Well, the last city, that is. Still a pretty great city, right? Whoa, easy! I know Guardians have to follow OSHA regulations, but come on. Yeah, look at all that. It's like highway systems down there, a lot of buildings and cranes. But how did we get to this point?
All around us, Guardian.
That is what I wanted to cover in this particular VOD. I want to cover the entirety of the timeline, solely starting from the Witch Queen and going forward. Because if I was to cover all of this, it would take a long time. But yeah, we got the Red War, Curse of Osiris, Warmind, that's all year 1 stuff. Forsaken was year 2, Shadowkeep year 3, Beyond Light was year 4. And the past year of, 30th anniversary, this is kind of like a side note, pretty much. But the Witch Queen. And then we have Season of the Risen, the Haunted, Plunder, and the Seraph. And we're going to go straight into Lightfall afterwards. But let's start off with discussing what exactly happened here in the Witch Queen.
This is the burden.
So, to start everything off, this is going to be a very rough lore breakdown over the past major story beats. I won't be covering things like the Dawning or Festival of the Lost, because those are kind of non-canon, really, things. They don't have anything to do with the main story. I'll try and cover what I can. I won't be completing any dungeons tonight because there are 2 of them that were introduced. I'll briefly cover them, but I'm not going to go through them. So we start off here at Savathun's throne world. Well, technically we really shouldn't start here, but there's more stuff to do here than there is on Mars. Witch Queen started off with the previous season of the Lost, and that was when Savathun turned out to be Osiris in disguise. Osiris being the warlock who was cast out of the city beforehand. There's a lot to go over. But essentially, Savathun is a hive god of trickery. She is really good at manipulation, at lying, and getting away with it. So this is her throne world, which appeared right at the very beginning of the Witch Queen when Mars returned. Now, Mars was a planet in Destiny storyline that was taken away by the darkness, and it mysteriously came back. Why? For a myriad of reasons, supposedly. More importantly, when we got here, we found out that the Hive were blessed with the light for some reason. They were able to... Ah, yeah, see, there's a bunch over here. In fact, these guys, those little bots, they have light abilities on them. Take care of that, take care of them. Lucid Hive Inquisitors, eliminated commander, incoming. So going through the Witch Queen campaign, you start off by going into Savathun's throne world, and you find out that they have stolen the light, which is super creepy. Excuse me. Oh, there we go. Take care of that. Where is this dude? Knock it off. More Lucid Hive Inquisitors in the sector. So going through the entire campaign, eventually you'll come across someone called Finch wanting your attention. And Finch turns out to be... Oh, hang on, I can just show you him. There's more Lucid Hive Inquisitors. Whatever. That's fine. Where are they? Ah, it's over this way. Yeah, sorry if my storytelling goes all over the place. This is just me. So, dude, what we found out is that the Hive had stolen the light, and they were given ghosts. Which, wait, they stole the light and our ghosts? So we go over here, a guy named Finch wanted our attention. So as soon as we walk up, we'd be like, oh.
Hey, yeah, I got some new leads.
Yep, that's Finch.
Good
He himself was a Hive ghost, who no longer believes the Hive deserve the light. Finch has defected from Savathun's followers in order to help humanity. I get behind my camera real quick. Down there in the lower left. So with Finch's help, we were able to start tracking down relics of Savathûn throughout the entire throne world. And little by little, we were able to use something called the Relic. Let me just show that off here in the Enclave. The Relic is used to tell the story of a past from a particular object. One thing we had to do in the Witch Queen campaign was head back to Europa and speak with the pyramid that was within there. Because that pyramid is somewhat friendly towards Guardians for some reason. There's speculation as to why. But we learned the ability of Deep Sight, which is the ability to see through lies and uncover memories. And this was basically headquarters for all that. There's the throne world right over there. Meanwhile, here on Mars, we found the relic. If I were to go down here. Yep. Here we are, the relic. A very ancient piece of technology used for making guns. Lots and lots of guns. Ooh, I can shape a new weapon. So this was something that was introduced. I can shape one of these, sure. May as well. That one, and that one, and that one, and that one. No mementos. Shape it up. Let's go. Probably never going to use this gun, but whatever. So this was something that was introduced in the Witch Queen. You can now craft guns, which is neat. There's some story relevance to that item, because the relics that we were collecting from Savathûn's throne world, we would then bring into a chamber within Savathûn's throne world that would be Altar of Reflection Insight. Sort of an altar of reflection here. We would go in here, we would kick some butt, solve a couple puzzles, and we would get a little bit of the mystery behind what Savathûn was planning. It started off with her realizing that the worm god that she held within her, or rather, the worm that was in her feeding the worm gods, she no longer wanted part of it. She wanted it out, which is what happened during Season of the Lost. But one particular cutscene at the end was a little unnerving. We pick up a pattern, relic actually, that has Savathûn saying, what is it the Guardians say? Devotion inspires bravery, bravery inspires sacrifice, and sacrifice leads to death. It was that cutscene that revealed something very chilling. It turns out that Savathûn didn't steal the light. The Traveler gave her the light. So now she is able to respawn just like the Guardians, and she has a plan for the Traveler. She was going to steal the Traveler away and hide it in her throne world. Which, that is a big no-no, because if that were to happen, Guardians would basically no longer exist. So at that point, everyone is panicking. But there was one relic that was found that turned out to not be from Savathûn at all. It turned out to belong to her father that made the deal with the worm gods many, many years ago. And it turns out that the worm gods tricked Savathûn and her sisters to go into the deep to accept the darkness rather than the light of the Traveler that was literally right there. So that information was useful in figuring out what was going to happen. Marcus, what is up? Yo! We're covering the story of Witch Queen as best as I can relate in, the past year or so, because there has been so much going on. I want to try and cover as much as possible. Welcome, everybody. Oh, I'm doing good. Just got back from work and regaling the tale about, Mars came back. We found out what Savathûn was up to. And one of the things that happened right at the very tail end of the Witch Queen expansion itself is that the Traveler ended up in Savathûn's throne world. And at that point, we kicked her butt. And she died. But the ghost that she had with her, Imaru, the first ghost ever, he ran off and disappeared somewhere. So Savathûn's body is currently lying within... Oh yeah, these guys. Whoop. There we go. You need to crunch the ghost to make sure they're gone. So yeah, stolen life. So while all this was going on, let me just clear out this area. It's impossible to really talk about everything that happened within this expansion without going over the raid area. So while the Guardians were securing this throne world, there's a place in here known as the Wellspring, which is super powerful, and the Scorn want to do it. The Scorn, by the way, are basically bad evils. Here's a relic. That was from beforehand.
I asked you before. Why did Mars return? This is the truth. I brought Mars back. I learned the secret of the deep, the power to move worlds, and I dragged Mars from its extra-dimensional prison. Why? As a gift. As a test. A gift for your people, and a test of my power. Of course, it can be both.
She's probably lying through her teeth, because she will give conflicting information. I believe another one that she will give is that the Witness, who's like the big bad of all of this, spoiler alerts, was done with Mars and then just chucked it away. But yeah, here are all the little ghosts that were granted to Savathun and the Hive from the Traveler itself, which is super confusing. But yeah. So after we collapsed Savathun, and we didn't quite turn her into a gun. Her body is elsewhere. But as it turns out, so we have the Wellspring. So the Wellspring is a super powerful place, but there's another. And that would be the raid location. This was an absolute surprise to a lot of people, I'll bet. Unless they're like, data miners. But, they're data miners. So I totally forgot to do something with my camera. I just noticed it was like looking really choppy for some reason. Just apply that. Okay. A little smoother. So, the raid ends up tying into the story somehow. Because once we kill Savathun, we learn of a character called the Witness.
And eradicate the Scorn within. They will not take control, no matter how hard they try.
Alright, so the Scorn here, the major enemies from the Forsaken campaign, they return in this expansion under the influence of the Darkness, who turned out to be the Witness. Man, she goes down quick. So this raid location over here, turns out that there is a pyramid within Savathun's throne world. And it's going to take a little bit to get all the way up to here, so I would like to speak about, at the same time, the Season of the Risen, which was the first season that happened concurrently with the Witch Queen expansion. It started with, I believe it was Keitel being the... What is this? Oh, okay, alright, that's fine. Oh, hang on, I got distracted driving. Where am I? Should be going this way. There we go. Alright, so Season of the Risen. That is, wow. So while Ikora was figuring out what was going on with the Witch Queen, that was like her big thing. Zavala and Keitel were in charge of just trying to figure out what the Risen were up to. Specifically the Hive Risen. So they entrusted Saladin and Crow, who is Ultron. There's so much to go over that. If you want to know all this, you're going to have to look up someone else, because I'm only covering the last year or so. So Saladin, who is Iron Lord, who always runs the Iron Banner, he was trying to figure out what is going on with the Hive. And with the help of the Psions from Keitel's forces, we were able to delve within the minds of the Hive themselves to try and figure out what is going on. During that campaign, though, something bad happened. Crow was thinking, like, it's really not a good idea to just torture and kill our enemies just because they're our enemies. To which Saladin replies like, do not show mercy to an enemy without any good knowledge. And he shares his story of how he met a girl out in the wilderness who he showed mercy to. And later in life, that little girl would end up becoming a bandit. And there was no fear in her eyes. That was a super powerful moment, realizing that sometimes showing mercy to the enemy is a bad idea. So in the middle of that little bit of a campaign, whoops. Oh boy, gotta concentrate on fire. While Season of the Risen was going on, later in one of the weeks, Crow decided that the way that Scions delve into the mine was too much, so he was just going to unhook the one Scion that was in the helm. Unfortunately, that killed him, which is a big no-no along with Kaido. So the ending cutscene of Season of the Risen, it was only like a 5-week campaign compared to 10 for the other ones, for short. Kaido threatens Crow, a life for a life. It is at this point that Saladin decides, no, whatever punishment you're going to give him, give to me instead. And Keitel, with all the CD rage, goes, fine, then your life is forfeit to me. You now serve on my council. So, Saladin the Iron Lord is now working on Keitel's war council, essentially. That was basically Season of the Risen. Not a whole lot of major story beats to push the plot forward, but that's where the Witness comes in. After we defeated the Witch Queen, oh, who is shooting at me? Y'all better knock that off over there. Knock it off. So once the Witch Queen was killed, a particular cutscene happens that had a character that is super cool. It's like smoke billowing out of their head. They got like the Darth Sidious thing going on. Turns out that this character is the Witness. The Witness has been hunting the Traveler for a very long time. But the Witness does not work alone. In fact, hang on. Do you guys mind? I'm trying to tell a story. Throughout the raid, you learn of how the Witness works. And it has to do with the final boss of the raid, Rolf. Now, a bit of backstory for Rolf. He was blessed by the Traveler as well a long time ago. Oh boy, that's a lot of baddies. The Traveler blessed Ray. That is the name of the planet. And the Rayans that lived on there, they lived their lives of the Traveler, much like the Golden Age of humanity. And then the Traveler left. Now the Librarians, they decided that the gift of light should basically be split between their populace. Kind of like rich versus poor. The people with the light lived in luxury, the people without the light did not. And Rolk got tired of that. The Witness got a hold of Rolk, and Rolk became a Witness disciple. Which, what does that mean? He is essentially the last of his kind. He went on a slaughtering rampage throughout the entire race. Basically, his planetary system is dead, according to the lore. So the Guardians, finding out that this giant pyramid we're about to go to, here it's looking cracked because this is post-raid. But the actual raid itself, super interesting. This opening moment here does take a while every single time you run through this raid. And I've ran this preservation so many times solo. Let's try and wrap this up as much as possible. Because as awesome as the Witch Queen story itself was, and Season of the Risen was just an okay season, the next season I absolutely want to talk about. It's my favorite of the whole year. But I want to clear this out because this will give you a technical reward. That way it helps. Whoop, I'm already at overflowing. Technical reward to help you level up. Oh yeah. A lot of fun. So much fun. Let's get that. Get over here, you jerk. There we go. So yeah, I'm briefly covering overall the story stuff. And I will say that Savathun being arisen, massive plot point that made sense, was very much unexpected. In that moment at the end where you basically get her. Trying to do that on Solo Legendary was difficult, but I did it! And I plan on doing Lightfall Solo Legendary as soon as it comes out. Might be a few days. There's schedule next week is going to be crazy. Yep. So all of the Witch Queen expansion, what would I rate it? I would rate it absolutely amazing. Season of the Risen, it was just okay overall, but at least it was short. Some of the longer seasons, they go on for a bit too long. Namely the season of Lost, where they delayed the game. And pretty awful stuff happened. Yep. Alright, where is the big boy? He should be up here. We're almost done with this. We're almost getting to the raid lair. Because it's important to talk about what exactly Rolf was doing while here on Savathun's Throne World. Alright. What? Alright, where is he then? Oh, there he is. How have you not been hit? One sec, gotta reload. There we go. So yeah, this long walk to the raid area, it's a bit much. I sincerely hope the Lightfall raid doesn't have something like this. I would prefer something like Deepstone Crypt. That was perfectly aligned with just the amount of time you take to go through the beginning area just to get to know your teammates and shoot the breeze or whatever. Here we go. We're almost there. There's like 2 more sections to go. Doing this solo is kind of a pain. But yeah, you notice this really weird architecture? That's going to be very prevalent in the next area where we're going. Alright. I think I know what I will do. I'll pause the recording here. And then I'll unpause it right here. We got screens, we got so many storms. So many storms. Alright, see you later! I will never do this mission again. Oh boy. So inside the pyramid, we can start walking into here. Going this way, we get all this weird architecture. It turns out that Rulk, as a disciple of the Witness, took his pyramid and decorated it in such a way to show off Lubraean history. In fact, in this world, this room right here, you kind of see some very vague shapes to everything. You've got what's clearly a traveler shape versus a bunch of pyramids. And I just remember that I forgot to swap this around from when I was playing other stuff earlier. Oops. Not that one. Increased duration. No, not weakened targets. Alright, hang on. I need to remember which ones are which. Void abilities, and then this one was... There we go. That's what I like to run. Right there. Yeah. Also, definitely clean up house, because, hoo boy, knowing me and my luck. That and that. Get rid of this. And get rid of these boots. Okay. Okay, should be good to go. So yeah. Throwback to a year ago. And Marcus and I and 4 other friends in the from the clan decided to do this at day 1 raid. And we all died here from splatting. But inside this pyramid, I believe this is the correct direction, we learned that Rulk was doing some really crazy stuff here. this is a hive god worm. Like, really fully grown and dissected. You can go inside here and see, like, some of the insides. Oop. And very importantly, way out in the distance here, in the raid, this was glowing crazy red, but it's dead now because we killed him. But this was the worm god mother. So all the worm gods that the hive worshipped, this was the mother to all those gods. I think it's Zila, and we just straight up killed her by killing Rolk. Oh yeah, see all these symbols here? Yeah, these symbols tell a story in this raid that apparently is that the witness will drink the light and then kill something we do not know. And oh look, scorn that are frozen, apparently. But yeah. Rolk as a witness is as a disciple of the witness, pledged his life to basically eradicating the light. So now the Guardians realize at this point that things are going to go really bad. How bad is it going to get? Well, I mean, we killed one disciple of the witness. What's another one going to be? Well, funny I should say that because that's where the next season takes us. I'm going to pause the recording here to talk about that in the VOD later.
May be defeated, but it is only temporary. We'll be back to remind them. The pyramid is not theirs to take.
Oh, yay, an empirical evidence that's at 1589. Okay, whatever. I'll just throw that in here. Yeah. Listen to
The
this.
Upended. A title suitable for that which turns worlds upside down. When I was still uninitiated, I would stand guard at my post. I would look to the sky and see the two sons of my Lubre. One eternally shaded in the dark, the other always a brilliant blue. And in them, I had seen the folly of our kind. A fear of something we believed bigger than us, and a reliance on that which kept us. That blue sun that we harnessed our power from. A simple reversal of that power cracked the blue in half, shut it off, and Lubre died.
Yep.
I did not know it at the time, but it was necessary. And now that Savathun has trapped me within these walls, it will be necessary again.
You done?
My witness.
Nope.
Whether I survive Savathun's betrayal or not, the Upended will ensure we salvage our perfect goal.
Wrap it up, buddy.
The final abyss awaits us all.
But yeah, he never shuts up during the raid either. So yeah, that's essentially him in one goal. But now, with Season of the Risen in Season... well, not Season of Risen and Season of... Hang on. Witch Queen, Season of the Risen, those have basically been covered. At the end of Risen, there was a lot of speculation about where the next thing was going to take us. And during this time, normally Bungie, like a week or two before, they would show the trailer for what the next season was. But they were super tight-lipped about what the next season was. So we're going to fight at the Helm, which was introduced in... it was last year. Yeah, it was introduced for Beyond Light. So we got some stuff here. Yep, this is the third stuff. Yeah, third season stuff right there. But you happen to notice that we're outside here. Oh yeah, would you look at that. That's totally the moon, right? Notice that ship there? That's the Leviathan. It returned for the second season. Season of the Haunted. And when our Guardian went there to try and figure out, wait, what's going on? We were surrounded by nightmares like on the moon. and we couldn't stop it. We just had to run immediately. So what ended up happening is that we needed the help of a certain Eris Morn. And Eris Morn determined that we needed to use the Crown of Sorrow from the raid. Yeah. Yeah. This big boy. This thing was necessary to do a ritual for Crow and, bobbleheads. This was also, even though this season was very serious, definitely had some silly to it. But the story part of this is that Eris Morn determined that we needed to excise the demons out of the leaders, specifically the leaders of the Vanguard and of the why am I forgetting titles? Yeah, the Cabal. Sorry, there's just so much to go over. I'm trying to remember it all the top of my head. So they performed a ritual, except Kaido wasn't part of this ritual at first. She was like, no, I can handle this on my own. And it turns out that Crow was also involved as well. So there were ghosts that were haunting their past, hence Season of the Haunted. And we had to help them overcome their fears, insecurities, in order to get past that. Crow's biggest nightmare was Uldren, who he was in the past, that he remembered because Savathun gave him those memories back. It's something that she can do. And Zavala was haunted by the memory of his wife, Sophia. And while I'm talking about this, why don't we just go over there right to... Nope, where is... Oh, right, it's on the moon. Right to the moon. We're just going to go here into the Castellum. But I want to do... Planning to explore the destination. Yep. Zavala was haunted by his wife, Sophia, and how he failed her, essentially. Because apparently, their adoptive son also died because of an Elixir raid that he failed to prevent. And Kaido, being the bold and brash girl herself, was haunted by none other than Gaul, the villain from the Red War. So if we were to go here, the Leviathan has seen plenty of better days. Egregor's spawn is everywhere in here. Just everywhere. So here we were trying to contain the nightmares to keep that from spreading, because if they spread further than from the moon, bad things would happen. And as the season progressed, we helped Crow accept that, yes, he was Uldren, but he is no longer bound by that shadow. We helped Zavala get over the fact that, yes, while he was responsible for the death of his son, he should not hold that against himself. In Keitel, we helped her get over the fact that Gaul, even though that she looks as Gaul as a hero, he himself did some pretty bad stuff. And at that point, not necessarily getting over the fear, but rather accepting it. Now, there was also a dungeon that was introduced with this particular season. It was duality. We went into the mind of Callus, because Callus basically became one with the ship. It's weird. And going into Callus's mind, we find out his fear is of Keitel, because Keitel's the one that initially outed him as Cabal Emperor. So by going into the nightmare and defeating, well, Keitel, we faced off against Keitel's boss. Except it wasn't really Keitel, it was a memory of her. That it gets super complicated. And by going through all of that, we find out that Callus was scared of what was to come. Just a little bit. However, the big final mission revealed something bad. So we killed Rulk as the witness's disciple. And that final mission, we storm into the throne world of Callus himself. And it turns out Callus has basically himself become another witness disciple. Which means that we're going to be kicking his butt in the Lightfall campaign. That's basically it. But that revelation came out, and at that point it was like, oh no, we're just waiting for something to happen. And there was a message on the helm that showed up because Callus's face would be projected there, and he's like, I ask you, oh shadow of mine, would you like to help me? If not, I'm gonna kill you. Chest. Just grab one of these.
This abomination of a ship
Oh yeah.
was meant to be a prison. Instead, Callus plated it in gold and called it a pleasure barge. His exile was no less depraved than his reign. He gorged himself upon his throne, be it on Tarabattle or the Leviathan. You see where that has led him. He and his loyalists now rot from the inside out, just as his empire once did. Exile was a mercy.
Call, I know you like monologuing, but come on, bro.
Face him, Guardian. I trust you will be merciless.
Oh, we will. Yeah, that is basically Season of the Haunted really quickly. Went by a lot smoother than Witch Queen and Risen, for sure, because there's a lot to talk about. Witch Queen, that was like the major expansion. So now the next place I would like to go to, let's head back to the Helm, temporarily. Because after Season of the Haunted, which I find to be the absolute greatest, most impactful season, and my personal favorite, the next season started off on a much lighter note. So, Aramis, the big bad from Beyond Light, last that she was left off, she was frozen at the very end, reaching out towards the Traveler. And the beginning of Season of Plunder started with her quick, coming back to life thanks to the Witness. And at this point, we learn that the only way to really stop her and her gang is to become pirates ourselves. So by navigating around the entire solar system, thanks to the star chart here, we ended up getting these relics. Now, these relics have some interest with Mithrax, who was another focal point of the season. In fact, we'll go visit him in his Elixir Quarter, but as we were gathering these relics, we had no idea what they were at first. But there are 8 of them. Keep that in mind. Let's go visit our buddy Mithrax in none other than the Last City Elixir Quarter. We're just going to warp here, say hi, figure out what's going on. Oh, and there's also something kind of funny to talk about. The beginning of this season, we were set to retrieve a package for the Drifter that somehow got lost out there. And it's a very large package. It turned out to be the spider in cargo, which is hilarious. Alright, so here we are. Hi, Traveler. What'd you... Wait. That shouldn't be there. That really shouldn't be there. Nonetheless, yep. Maybe it's just chilling with the homies, I guess. So here we are at the Elixir Quarter. They've been building this sector up. And none other than the spider is here. So the spider comes here. We end up going around the solar system, being pirates, stealing from Eris. From not Eris's, Aramis. Okay, there's Eris Morn, and then there's Aramis, which is the villain. But yeah, there's a lot to cover. So Aramis was all around, but there was also another character known as Ido. I don't think we're gonna see Ido here. I don't think she's here. Oh, wait, that's actually her, maybe. But Ido is Mithrax's daughter. Well, supposedly. Adoptive, actual daughter, unsure. But Mithrax was trying to keep his past hidden from her. And in the middle of the season, Ido reaches out to Aramis for a parlay, so they can talk about what was going on. And it turns out that Mithrax, those relics that we've been collecting, those relics are pieces of Nezarec, who was a former disciple of the Witness that decided to go against the Witness's wishes, and some bad stuff happened. So yeah, there are body parts inside those 8 relics. Ew. And as soon as Ido learned the truth, she was furious at her father, and Mithrax was just trying to protect his child, right? Who can blame him? But, you know, probably should have told the truth. At the end of the season, the final weekly mission, the scribe of the fallen, Ido herself, decided, you know what, I don't need to worry too much about that. I'm going to just jump in there and take care of things myself. And then she gets trapped by Hive. We rescue her from Hive. Aramis is there. Aramis is there, and there's a big sword fight that goes on. And Aramis leaves Mithrax, and Mithrax just lets her go. A form of mercy from the House of Light. And that was all well and good. Kind of weird ending to that season. This season, I don't think was all that great. Had some good moments, had some really questionable moments. But there is one thing to talk about for this one particular season, and that would be the event that happened for the 2 weeks before the next season would happen. They, Bungie challenged the Guardians to raise, I think it was like 400 million points, essentially, to rebuild this entire sector. It was supposed to last 2 weeks. In 25 hours, 400 million points were already bargained up. Just instantly like that. This place basically went Las Vegas overnight. That's how crazy it went. And what's funny is that in a little less than a week, they found out it was an unsigned integer because it got really close to the maximum limit of, like, what was it? 10 to the 215th minus 1. No, it was 2 times 10 to the, it's like a ridiculously high number. And then as soon as it got close to that point, it just stopped updating, so people figured out what was going on. That was funny. But as soon as this was done, the final week, there was a cutscene that showed off how Mithrax and Ido were studying the relics. And they found out that what they could do is that they could make a tea of distilled darkness, which they gave to Saint 14, who gave it to Osiris, who they woke up, they had a nice big gay kiss, and that was the end of the season. I wish I was kidding when I said that was the end of the season, but nope, all that conflict and drama happened in an animated cutscene, which was not the best way of ending things. But it's important to note that Osiris, formerly being controlled by Savathun, managed to steal some of her memories, including that of a secret city on Neptune. But he needed some help trying to figure out where that secret city is. So if I were to go to the helm, go here, it's time to talk about the last season, Season of the Seraph. That was a big one. Because it starts with Xivo Arath's forces arriving on Europa in full force. And as soon as we get there trying to figure out what is going on, all of a sudden, the security that was surrounding that area detects the Guardians as enemies, which is a big no-no. Probably don't want that happening. So we go in there, we rescue Clovis Bray, and we have Anna Bray talking about what was going on. And yeah, spoilers for what's going to happen next. Yeah, the Exoframe, the prototype Braytech hardware. So Anna, this entire time, had an engram with Rasputin's data on it. And that data was slowly dying. So she's trying to figure, like, how do I save this? Well, they've been trying to build an Exoframe to house Rasputin's software. But they also needed to have Clovis Bray to help figure out what is going on. Can we get a solution to figure out what Xivo Arath is up to? Xivo Arath being the last Hive god that we have not killed. There's 3 of them. Oryx, we killed. In fact, there's the raid that returned in Destiny 2, but that was like mostly in the past. Then you have Savathun, the Witch Queen of Trickery. She's dead. Xivo Arath is all about conquest and killing. That's what she's all about. And yes, hello, boy. Yes, activate the good boy protocol. Yes, I know what's in your black box. I've read the lore. So Clovis Bray, the big egotistical head from Europa, is downloaded into this exoframe, which is experimental frame developed by Anna Bray to house the Warmind, who is no longer there. There's a reason why. That's what happened at the very end of the whole season. So we go through and we realize that in order to solve this problem, we need to basically restore Rasputin. So we have to go back to previous areas that we've been through on... It was the moon and it was European Dead Zone, going back into those bunkers to slowly retrieve bits and pieces of Rasputin one little bit at a time. In fact, there was a secret one that was on Europa that we didn't know about until this season. And then as the season goes along, we end up going to the home of the Iron Lords in Vostok. And that was super interesting. And then we learned that Clovis Bray had a bit of an ulterior motive. He built Rasputin to be a weapon of war. And when the Traveler arrived, Clovis Bray didn't necessarily trust the Traveler at all. So he created the Warsat So the Warmind and the Warsat network was all designed with one goal in mind: to kill the Traveler. Now, Rasputin tells us this because he managed to wrest control from Clovis Bray. And then Clovis Bray was subsequently deleted from the exo body here. Still alive on Europa. Yes, hello, Archangel. And then at the very end of the season, or towards the end of the season, you realize a horrible truth. If the Warmind wipes out all of the Hive, that will cause a massive sacrifice to Xivu Arath's worm god, who would then cause a massive invasion to wipe out the planet, much like they did Tora Bottle of, Keitel's home and Callus's home. So there was a meeting that could have been an email. I'm sorry, go watch it yourself. Where Zavala doesn't say a word, Keitel doesn't say a word, Mithrax doesn't say a word. It's all Marasov who's there and Anna Bray. So they decide they're going to hold the line and figuring out how do we break this stalemate. Well, the stalemate comes from a particular station up in the sky. And that would have been the Seraph station. Should I? Operation Seraph Shield. Sure, I'll at least go up into space because this view is really cool. So while we were gathering Rasputin's memories and programming from all those other places, another place that we had to go to was the Seraph station orbiting Earth. This housed a number of important things. We included a back door so that way Rasputin could work on some stuff. But this particular space station up in the sky controlled the war mines, and we did not want that falling into enemy hands. And there was also another dungeon known as the Spire of the Watcher. Back in the past, it turns out that the Ishtar Collective, who are massive lore experts essentially, they went through and worked with the Braytech to get some form of technology in their favor. But it was in danger of being captured by Xivu Arath and her forces. We went in there to make sure that didn't happen. Whoop, hang on. Running across all this. The area I need to go to is off to the right. Yeah, the threat detection is such a pain in the butt. So, the very last thing that happened that season is that Aramis gained control of the station. Very briefly. And while running through that station, the countdown was beginning. She was going to use the war mines to destroy the Traveler. That was not going to happen on our watch. So as the Guardians went through and... as the Guardian, we fought back on the Seraph station. And we made sure that bomb did not go off. However, in order to keep everything from going bad, Rasputin came to the conclusion that he himself was a danger to all of humanity. So in order to save humanity, he needed to remove himself from the equation. So I need to remember which way I needed to go. This was correctly, I think? Yeah, I think so. So Aramis gaining control of the satellite system, the Warsat system, ready to blow the Traveler out of the sky. what happened at the very end of that season was kind of shocking. Normally the Traveler is just right there along with the last city. Whoops. This. Yep. It's going to tell me, yes, I know how this works. I've done it before. Come on. I'm going to hack this. I'm going to hack this. We're going to hack this. Deal arc complete. Escape pods online. Come down. Oh, this was. All right. Let's go to space. Heading up to the Sarah station. There it was. The Traveler just above the last city. The ending cutscene. The last thing that major story beat that happened before Lightfall began was the Traveler floating up into the sky as the Vanguard was watching this. The last city was watching this. The Elixni were watching this, realizing the whirlwind that when the Traveler left their world and left them to the darkness to fend for themselves, this was happening again. In floating up in the sky, it stood. Aramis, hand ready to go on the button in order to just annihilate the Traveler with every war sat in the sky. And Rasputin, with Anna Bray tearfully in her eyes agreeing, decided that it was time. Rasputin uploaded himself to the Warsat network. The Warsat network destroyed itself, and the Traveler is no longer within the last city, but it's now resting far above it. And at that point, the Witness, who was watching all of this, because the Witness is kind of like an omniscient jerk, he determines that the reason why the Traveler has not left is because it has nowhere else to run. There's some speculation from other Guardians that I've read online that it didn't want to leave, it wanted to reduce collateral damage. But at this point, we know the Witness is going to be coming to Earth badly. Because it's currently, the whole fleet is near Jupiter, where Io was. That was the last place that Traveler touched before coming to Earth. And things are looking real bad. But we do know that Neomuna exists, the city on Neptune. And we know that we need to head there to find something called the Veil. Now, what the Veil is, who it is, or what it is, I honestly don't know. I'm sure all the lore experts out there would be like, yes, we know exactly where the story is going and they can't wait. Neither can I, for entirely separate reasons. But yeah, I think that has basically been all of Destiny 2 Witch Queen year in review. And I gotta say, Bungie have really stepped up their game compared to previous years and seasons. Like, Shadowkeep was definitely the worst, solely because that was when they split from Activision. But yeah, beautiful sky though. So that is going to do it for me today. I just wanted to go over as much of the story as I possibly could, as well as I could. I sincerely hope that for those of you who have been listening along, you kind of get a sense of where things are going with Lightfall. It may not be complete. There are other people who are... I should not be standing next to Zavala, who never shuts up. I keep forgetting that. There we go. This is a much better look here. And next week, I'll be starting Lightfall. Now, for those of you who've been watching this video on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment if you like. You can follow me on Twitter at MasterWabbit. That's where I post my schedule and all sorts of updates. And until Lightfall, Guardians, take care.